Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
What's up, party people in the place to be? My name is Matt Codd, and we're with another episode of the Co-Host Bros podcast. I'm chilling with Austin Spitz. He's got his arms crossed, smirking at me. We're having a great time already. We haven't even started. We have a special guest today, John Bianchi. He is an Airbnb data guy. He spends a lot of time looking at the data to help you find a profitable short-term rental so you don't have to look at the data yourself. So, with further ado, what is going on, Mr. John? How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to this.
Austin, what's up, bro?
Not much, man. Everything's good. Everything's good over here. Nothing too much to complain about. I feel like you asked me that at the beginning of every episode, and I'd like say the same thing. But yeah, man, nothing new to report. Super excited to have John here. Matt kind of gave a brief little intro there, but John, if you want to expand on that for our listeners that don't know what you do, I've seen a lot of your viral content, so I've got an idea, but break it down for everybody. How did you get into the short-term rental space, and what is it exactly that you do?
Okay, I'll give the quick version because I've been doing this since 2017, so it's a long journey, I guess you could say. But I got into the space because I had an extra spare room in my apartment, and I heard about this Airbnb thing, so I thought I'd give it a shot. Ended up covering my rent. I found that super interesting, so I looked more into it. Turned out people were building businesses around that using the arbitrage and property management style. So I built out that business and got it up to about 15 locations in Chicago, a couple down in Scottsdale, a couple over in Michigan, and then COVID came around and completely wiped that out. I realized that during that entire process, the one thing I did best was figuring out which property to get and which ones not to get. And so I hyper-focused in on the data, and I wanted to build that skill, get really, really good at it. I ended up getting hired by a company called Techvestor. At the time, they had about 5 properties. They're now the largest short-term rental investment fund in America. I worked as their head of data for 2 years, and it was my job to figure out what market to go into, which property within that market to get, and how to drive the most amount of revenue out of it. And I was able to help them acquire 150 properties. Every single last one of those is profitable. So I have a 100% track record there. Then it got to the point where I was able to find more properties than they were able to purchase. And so I broke my exclusivity contract with them. I still do work with them, but I can now work with everybody and anybody. And in the past 15 months, I've offered my services off to just retail investors who are looking to find a property. And I've been able to work with a lot of additional people during that time period as well and helping them secure profitable properties. We still have a perfect track record of finding profitable properties. And during that entire time period as well, I built out 4 different trainings teaching people how to understand Airbnb data, my process of doing that. And I gave it all away for free. And so that's my quick backstory, quick resume. And what I do is I help people find profitable properties, either through free education or giving them the option to hire me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So I'm Austin texted me and said I have to ask a question next, but I'm not going to ask the question that Austin expects me to ask. I'm actually going to ask a question about your hat.
All right, nice. Yeah.
So I just wanted to know if the hat had anything to do with you, or is just a brand I've just never heard of, because I think it's pretty dope. It's just for those who don't know, you probably won't see this on video because I'm lazy, don't have time to edit it. His hat says Dad Gang. So I mean, I just thought it was cool. But I do actually have a real question after you answer my unreal question.
Yeah. So I actually saw somebody else wearing this hat on a Zoom call and instantly looked it up. And then it wasn't a cheap one, so it took me about 2 months to pull the trigger. But it sat open on my computer for 2 months. I was like, screw it, I'm going for it. They're this newer company called Dad Gang. They're pretty viral on Twitter. And just a couple of dads got together, wanted to create a really nice hat for dads specifically. I've got a 14-month-old now, so I qualify, and was able to purchase one, and I love it too. I just think it's a fun hat. It's cool. I like being a dad. It's my favorite thing ever. So Yeah. You're actually like the third person today to mention it.
Yeah, and those who don't
Yeah.
know, they're $35. This isn't a plug for Dad Gang. We don't get any money. I just thought his hat was cool.
Yeah. In
I just
Canada
looked
dollars,
it up.
though.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
might as
Canadian
well.
dollars.
Yeah, might as well be
No.
double. So
Yeah, we're fucked. Okay, so no
yeah.
Dad Gang hats in the U.S., guys, but you
No,
can
no, no,
purchase
no,
a
no.
co-host bros hat.
They're from the U.S., but I got to
Oh,
pay
double it for
U.S.
you. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Killer.
yeah, man.
Yeah, that's
It's.
terrible.
Do you have a kid?
I do. I have two. I tried to
Nice.
sell them, but nobody wants to buy them. They talk too much.
How old?
My son is 15 and my daughter's 23.
You do not look like
Yeah.
a person who has a
I was
23-year-old daughter.
17 when I
Holy
had
shit.
my
There you
daughter.
go.
So
Yeah,
just so
yeah.
you know, I was a teen pregnancy, and not a lot of people know that. I knocked the chick up by mistake, and I didn't know any better because I was an ignorant 17-year-old. So tell your kids to wear protection, and if she says she can't get pregnant, she is lying to you. But yeah, there's a little rule for the wise for everybody.
I'm sure you're not upset about it whatsoever, though.
All good now at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So my real question was, now that I have everybody's undivided attention. So when you're looking at the data, are you using certain softwares? Are you using something like AirDNA, STRIQ, or are you using multiple Rabu? What are you doing to define these properties?
Yep.
How are you looking at this data? Because we're going to dive into some of your free stuff here. What you're just going to reiterate it all to everybody here.
Yeah, totally fine.
So,
there's the question you asked is like, how do I use the data? That's a very, very long question. The answer is about 40 hours long, but what I will say is I do use AirDNA. That is my go-to provider. I've been using them since 2017. I've tried all the other softwares, even tried building my own software. I go back to AirDNA over and over and over again. It's the one that I know. It's the one that I can sort through the data and be able to figure out what is accurate and what is not accurate. Like there's every single one of the different data providers is just an algorithm scraping Airbnb, and they're trying their absolute best to predict what the actual revenue is going to be based off of that scraped data. And some are good, some are not. And then on top of that, a lot of the data that does come through is inaccurate due to the way that the host actually manages the property. So the vast majority of the data, like I always say, about 80 to 90% of the data that is on every single different data provider is not useful information and should not be taken to heart and used to go out and make a purchase. And so I use AirDNA. I think it's the best by far. As for how do I use it, I can get into it if you'd like.
well, I mean, you got to sum out the 10% of the data that's correct, right?
Correct. Yeah. Do you want me to explain the difference between good data and bad data?
Yeah, that would actually help
Yeah.
everybody, I think. I think that's a good
Good starting point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what makes something good data is where you want to start with that. You have to think about it sort of like logically here, right? What makes something good data is when you have a full-time host, because when we're going out to purchase property or even do rental arbitrage, when we look at these numbers, we're looking at annual revenue numbers. And if somebody is a part-time host, the algorithm gets really screwed up, and the annual revenue number that is projected is almost always wrong. Okay. And so you need somebody who does it full time, because you're going to do it full time as well. And so you need to know how much can this property actually make if it was ran as an Airbnb all day, every day. So that's kind of the first thing. You want a full-time host. The way you figure out if they're a full-time host is you just simply check to see how many reviews they get every single month. If you can see that they get at least 1 to 3 reviews every single month over a 12-month span, you know that person is operating full-time, right? So that's my way of checking that. Now, the quick way to do it is just to make sure that they have over 20 reviews at a minimum. But I still look into every single calendar and check every single review to ensure I see at least 1 to 3 every single month. Now, that's the first step. The next step is that if we're looking for annual revenue numbers, we need the property to be up and running for almost a full year. Because if it hasn't been, then let's say it's only been up for 30 days, the algorithms are terrible at predicting what it's going to do over the full year, right? So then therefore what we need is that property to almost be up and running for almost a full year, giving the algorithm almost a full year of tracking that property to then be able to predict what the annual revenue is going to be fairly accurately. Does that make sense? So full-time host tracked by AirDNA for almost a full year. If you get those two things, then you can know that you're most likely looking at good data.
That makes sense completely. And I'll tell you why. As I when I bought my first short-term rental, I bought it in a teeny tiny market in Texas. Teeny tiny. AirDNA. I didn't buy it to short-term rent it. I'll tell you guys right now, I didn't vet shit. I didn't run any numbers. I didn't do nothing. I bought a beach house. I was like, I'm gonna buy a beach house. Then I was like, how am I gonna pay for the beach house? Typical idiot American here. So bought the beach house, learned about AirDNA, looked it up. AirDNA said I was gonna make $9,000. I almost threw up. So so the first year I did 33. Funny thing is, which is fine because I paid next to that like $140,000 for the house. It was nothing. So it's funny because the next year when I go and look at AirDNA, the number that I predict for my house was like exactly close to the number. What's funny is I even had a midterm booking, but I had logged it into my PMS and with the amount and things like that. So it was like literally a couple $100 difference after a year of me doing it. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm assuming that's because of some of the stuff that you were saying with the data.
Yep. Your home most likely became the data point that they use to predict your revenue.
Woohoo!
Yeah, there you go. But it takes a year to get there because you can't look backwards on an Airbnb calendar, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe now with the new update.
Maybe.
Awesome. So you're not looking at properties maybe managed by professional management companies. Are you saying like you're only looking at properties managed by like a single person? Did I get that right or no?
No, I mean, I'll look at both. I don't look at Vacasa's data and I don't look at Evolve's data, but I will look at other properties that are managed by property management companies. In that scenario, it's it's still a full-time host. Now, mind you, it's just a host that manages 40 properties rather than one, but it's still a full-time Airbnb. Let's put it that way. Rather than a full-time host, it's a full-time Airbnb.
So when you're posting your content and you're showing all these awesome properties and how they're separating themselves from the competition, what are some key identifiers that you're seeing that people are doing in regards to maybe something like amenities that are like really the outliers? Is it amenities? Is it a design? Is it a total package deal? For the investors listening, is there something that maybe they could do that you see where they're like, hey, saunas are popping off? Is it market specific? I know that's a loaded question, but like, what are you
Yep.
seeing that's really moving the needle, like in a specific market where you find that one 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just like everyone else that's maybe grossing 30 grand more than everyone else? Is there anything that you see specifically?
No, there's not one thing. So there definitely isn't one thing, especially not one thing across the entire country, right? So like if you were to take the Keys in Florida, hot tubs don't pop off down there, and they don't really make a difference, right? Because it's so damn hot in the first place. But if you were to go to Michigan, yeah, it's going to make a difference. So then, and that could apply to a lot of different types of amenities that you could have all around the country. So there's never like one amenity that I can be like, hey, get that, and you'll be good to go, right? It's very, very market specific, but I would say the one thing that I think you could do that allows you to integrate amenities properly to drive revenue is understanding who you're marketing to. So who's your demographic? Who is like the best group to create an experience for in your market? If it's families, right? And you're trying to like host families, then how can you create an Airbnb that creates an unbelievable experience for the kids? Because if the kids are happy, the mom is happy. If the mom is happy, the dad is happy, right? And so what that means is it's not about like, hey, should I get a hot tub? Or should I get a putting green, or should I get a jungle gym? It's like, okay, who's my demographic? It's a family and they have kids. Okay, like what age range do I think these like families generally are? They just kind of like from 16 all the way down to 2. It's like, okay, well, how can I create amenities? How can I spend my money now on amenities that that create a fun time for these kids? It's specifically a game room? Is it a jungle gym? The one example that I always like to use that kind of paints the easiest picture is that if you're going to create a bachelorette pad, right? You're going to create a place that's specifically for bachelorettes. It's going to be pink absolutely everywhere, neon pink lights, everything that you can think of for a bachelorette group. You're not going to put a jungle gym in that backyard as well because it doesn't make any logical sense, right? And so the idea is that who's the demographic that I should focus in on? And then how can I hit them the best way possible and create the best experience for them? And then all the amenities and decision-making on what amenities to invest in is based off of that, rather than just I'm going to get a jungle gym to get a jungle gym. Right.
Yeah,
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
I think there's my misconception is like I always just thought like, hey, amenity stacking, like the more you can offer, the better. But I think like that can lead to like frivolous spending. And I think you make a good point first. Like I never thought about it that way. Like tailor it your amenities towards the guest avatar that's coming there first versus just stacking a whole bunch of amenities that may not make sense. So I love that.
Yeah.
I
And
got you.
yeah, and you take it one, so you nailed it on the head, right? Right. Where it's like, if you're just amenity stacking to amenity stack, you actually might be wasting money completely. Like you probably, maybe you didn't need to buy the bowling alley because it wasn't actually going to do anything because you had everything else that was enough to drive revenue. And by adding in the bowling alley, you just spent an extra $4,000, but you're making the exact same amount of revenue. So it was a bad investment, let's call it, right? So anyways, that is the scenario that happens, but you can actually take it even one step further prior to that, which is if you know the demographic that you're focusing on, what is the color psychology that they are attracted to the most, right? Where kids, vibrant colors, right? It like pulls them in. They're super excited. A bachelorette group, all pink, vibrant pink pulls them in, right? So you can actually not only get amenities that would create a great experience for that specific demographic, but also get them in colors that is appealing to that specific demographic to get them even more excited and feel like it's there them built for them. You know what I mean? Like you want to do a place on the Bourbon Trail, make it dark and black because guys like that, right? They like that, those sort of like darker tones is going to appeal to them a lot more than all of like a super colorful place in the middle of the Bourbon Trail, right? It just doesn't add up. So that plays a huge factor into it as well when you're thinking about building out a place to create an experience for a demographic, which ties into
So,
amenities.
so is that part of like your service too? So you help you. Let me get this straight. Like you help people find. Do you help people find a market and a property within that market?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then on top of that, would you be like, hey, these are the kind of amenities I would recommend also, like as a bonus package? So you're helping them find the market, find the house, and stack the appropriate amenities. And does that kind of summarize like what your business essentially does?
Yes, it does. The last thing that we do is marketing. So we call it the four pillars. We find you the right market, the right property within that market, the right way to set up that property, and then how to market it properly. Because you would not believe how many people could have the best home set up the coolest way and just have terrible photos, like dog shit photos. They just look awful. They also don't know how to price it. They don't know how to make the title. Like they just don't know how to make it feel like it came out of a magazine and it looks terrible and it's never going to be able to outperform the competition because the marketing on it sucks. And so then therefore we help with the marketing as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you offer like is it everything you just mentioned from A to Z, or do you kind of offer different packages based on what the person's looking for?
No, we just have the one offer.
Okay,
Just that.
nice. No, I think it's awesome. I mean, especially for somebody that doesn't know anything about short-term rentals, like the value to me that you bring, and just to go ahead and cut all the fat out, go straight to the source, and be like, hey, like I don't have to do. And even if they did all the research in the world, they're still not going to get it right. Like they're still not going to get it as accurate to the level that you're going to be able to get it at with your expertise, right?
Some people will, give credit where credit is due. Like I've been coming across quite a few people who are just absolutely nailing it. They're the do-it-yourself person who really like figured it out and was able to make it happen. And then, but the majority of people that we work with are just really high net worth individuals who have zero time to focus on this kind of stuff and learn a new skill, and they don't want to. They're doctors, they're business owners, they have some sort of job that pays them a lot of money. They're looking to be able to take advantage of the STR tax loophole, get that bonus depreciation. Let's hope and pray it goes up to 100% officially for the next 4 years, because that'll make a world of a difference. And those people are not looking to learn how to become a data analyst and then also be able to figure out how to set up and be the best host ever. But they want to be able to get a short-term rental and get that asset and make it work. And they hire us to be able to help them do that. So yeah. Makes sense?
Awesome.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we like, with that being said, all of our free content, the free course, the free trainings, all of that stuff is built around for the people who want to figure out how to do it themselves. And it's all there. I always say you have all the information to do it yourself for free, but you have the option to hire us. And so I like a business model like that.
So
Yeah,
your lead magnet is your free content.
My lead magnet is my entire process.
Entire process.
It's literally nothing held back. Here it is. Go for it. And if you can make it happen, kudos to you. I love it. Right. But if you don't have the time, give me a call. So
I think that's the best way. Is like, don't gatekeep your process and your secrets. Tell people exactly how you do it. Let them try. And then I think what I would project would happen is people that they try to do it and then they realize like, maybe it entails a lot more time than they think it's going to entail. Maybe it's not as easy as they thought it would be. And then it's like, hey, I gave you everything, but now, in turn, they're going to be like, well, maybe I couldn't make it work, or I would rather just pay him to do it for me. My time is more valuable. So I think like going back to that point where you have, you know, uh, high-end investor clients that don't have the time to do it, that's where you step in, right?
Yep. That's exactly it. Like to a T. Yeah.
I think there's just different kind of people in the world too. Like some people will be like, oh, this is really good content, I'm going to hire him. And some people might be like, oh, he makes this seem really easy, I could totally do this. And some people are like, this is not worth my time, like I'm going to hire you, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that works with anything. I mean, a prime example I would say is probably fixing your car.
Yeah.
Some people are like, cool, I'll fix it, don't care. Like, I mean, something's broken, I don't care about fixing it. But some people are like, I don't really want to do that. And I'm like, I don't mind, it doesn't bother me. So I have a few questions that I had written down. So one I want to know is, why do you not look at Vacasa or Evolve data when you're trying to locate a listing for a client or in general to talk about?
So when I'm going through my process of trying to figure out if it's good data or bad data, I check the reviews to see how many reviews have they received during that time period. And I've looked at enough Evolve and Vacasa options or properties, and over and over and over and over again, it doesn't meet my requirements of having enough reviews to like feel like it's a full-time host or a full-time property, right? And so then I've done it enough times to just like write it off. And I can't tell you how many times I'm going through data and I see a listing and the listing is not nearly as nice as the other ones that are making the exact same amount of money as it. And I open it up and it's an Evolve listing. And I go, of course, right? Like, and what I think is happening is a couple of things. Like Evolve owns a listing. And I think that they are making tweaks to it that screw up the algorithm for AirDNA. It just like, it doesn't compute well for whatever reason. I don't know exactly how to explain that, but that's been my theory forever, that they're doing things like maybe it's getting shut off. Maybe it's come back on. Maybe it's, whatever it may be. And then on top of that, they also take bookings directly through their own platform with like significantly reduced fees. Right. So then if the Evolve gets the booking, there's not going to be a review on Airbnb or VRBO. And it's hard for me to gauge, to know for a fact if they're actually getting booked or if it's just being blocked manually by the host. Right. And so that's my issue. I've just seen way too many being bad data.
I think something similar than you. So I've looked at a lot of data, like when it comes to like skip tracing, Evolve and Vacasa listings. And I almost came to the conclusion, like, I feel like every once in a while, they're like, fuck, let's just relist it. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like every once in a while, they're like, I'm going to relist it. Like, cause I could talk to somebody on the phone, but, oh no, I've been with Vacasa for years. And I think like, well, why is there no reviews?
Right.
Like, why, what's going on? It's like, I think sometimes they're just like, oh, like we're like this close to being banned for being so shitty, we're just going to relist and start over. I think that's what they do, though.
I would not be surprised even a little bit. Airbnb does penalize you if they catch you for that nowadays, but I think with Vacasa and Evolve being like 40,000 plus listings together, they probably get away with it.
There's too much volume, they're not going to say anything.
They're not going to be like they're just like,
they probably scrape Airbnb or Airbnb data pretty easily as well. I'm assuming they get away with all kinds of other shit. I mean, that's why Vacasa has like 57 accounts. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we got Vacasa Texas, we got Vacasa California, Vacasa Northern California, Vacasa, this and that and this and that. And I think that's how they get away with that. You're talking about the guest avatar and things like that. So my question is like, okay, I have a house with a guest avatar. So cool. Okay. Let's just, for instance, my house is a beach house. My guest avatar is families, right? Mm-hmm. However, I have a secondary guest avatar, which is fishermen. because I have a lot of canals and creeks and places to crab and places to fish, and it's really big hot fishing spot as well. There's fishing tournaments and things like that. So how would you suggest people be able to appeal to the primary guest avatar and their secondary guest avatar at the same time?
Great question. Um,
That was my
yeah,
little
great
gun,
question.
everybody.
So I have this saying that I've repeated 1,000 times now, which is if you market to everybody, you market to nobody, meaning go all in on one. That's usually how I think about this. But you pose the question of how do I market to both? So I'm going to try my best to answer that. If you're marketing to families, you're not marketing to mom and dad. You're just not, because mom and dad care about the kids having a good time. You guys are both parents, right? So like, I'm assuming you'd feel the exact same way. If you can get a place where the kids are going to have a great time, then you're going to be happy, right? And that's at the end of the day, it's kind of all that matters. As long as you have a room, like who really cares? So that would be like the first thing to think about is like, okay, well, how can I create a space where the kids are happy? Now, for your scenario where you also have fishermen, I mean, like you could really just tap into it by having fish decor. So you have a game room and fish decor, right? Like maybe you've got a fish painting and you've got like certain things that you give them that help them with fishing that are hard to pack when they're traveling, right? And then but the game room hits the family part really well. And maybe you have like cornhole out back and you have like ball ladder and you've got like other games like that. And maybe you got a big pink floaty that's sitting in the pool or something. I don't know exactly what the house looks like, but what I'm trying to say is you can very easily target the kids and then add a bunch of fish stuff to say like, fisherman, this also works for you. And maybe you don't make the kid stuff too kiddie, right? Like where it's like too young, but it's like for those people who would be like 5 to 15 in that range, because then the say it's like a group of adult fishermen who are kind of all getting together, maybe they can then use the pool table just like the 12-year-old and the 15-year-old could use the pool table as well, right? And maybe you don't go like extremely vibrant colors. That would be like great for a kid, but you make it like a little bit less, so it's not over the top for the fisherman buddies who all come together. That's how you would kind of tap into both at the same time.
So okay, so that's how we kind of did it, right? So I kind of tied it together. So like, for instance, yeah, I got the arcade for the kids. I got the neon light, but at the same time, I got anchor wallpaper, right? It's a little not too kiddie, but then I got like thermoses because if you're going fishing, you're gonna want to take coffee, right? I provide that. That's fine. But then outside, I got outdoor games. I got a horseshoe. I got the cornhole. I got this and I got that because I think of it this way is like, okay, if I was fishing or if I was a kid, I mean, they both act like drunk people. It'd be fun to play horseshoes or it'd be fun to play cornhole. Like you would enjoy those things, right? Or if I'm going fishing early in the morning, it'd be nice to be able to take a pot of coffee with me or this and that. So we kind of looked at it like it's a 2-bedroom house. So we kind of looked at it like we took one room was kind of like for the kids, like 5 to 15, like you're saying, probably more like 10. And then the other room kind of like more like elegant for, the adult, right? It has the king bed and that kind of stuff. And then just little amenities for the fishing thing. But I wanted to ask that because you were talking about that, right? So, and I think other people might have those problems. It's like, I understand, yes, the market, Nashville, yeah, cool. Bachelorette parties, right? But not everybody wants to stay in a pink fucking house, right? Not everybody wants to. I mean, I'm going to Nashville in July. A lot of people are going to Nashville. We're not trying, and there is that out there as well. But, it's like, I was just curious as to how you would say that you could,
hit that avatar.
hit that secondary avatar because, I mean, they do tie together, right? So it's like if you have fishermen, they could have families too.
I was going to say, I mean, could you lean into the fisherman family? You know what I mean? So it's like, like I would assume that if you have families coming, they're probably a fishing family. You know what I mean? So it's like the I don't know, stereotype, but like, what if it's just the dad and the son that wants to go fishing, and the daughter and the wife wants to go do something else, and it's like, well, how do you like create that rather than trying to create a dude's place for fishing? It's like, no, this is a family place for fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of tap both those avatars at the same time. It's all it is in the Airbnb world, we're all competing on bedrooms, bathrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, and kitchens. In my opinion, it's really hard to beat somebody else when we all have the exact same thing. And so then how can you create more of an experience for them? And the experience that you're giving them is that they're on a fishing trip, by the beach on a fishing trip. And what makes it feel like it's a fishing trip? Well, fishing decor, fishing things, going fishing, like all of those things feel like it. But it's the idea when they're fishing, they're on a fishing trip. But when they come back into the house, it's still a fishing trip. You know what I mean? It still feels that same way, and not just like this house here. You know what I mean? Like you want it to feel like different than what they're used to. And so the inside of the house has to feel like the experience that they're getting on the outside of the house.
Right. Yep.
So, anyways,
I agree.
Yeah.
And my other question that I had written down. So you were talking about based on your avatar. So that has to do again with your guest avatar, right? That the color scheme matters. So let's talk about that a little bit. So is there any kind of data for me to dive into to find out what kind of color scheme would be good for my avatar? I mean, some of it is obvious, right? If you have a house in Kissimmee and they're trying to go to Disney, that house needs to be like Disney or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there some kind of data that you can dive into to like that may help you go in the right direction of decorating your short-term rental to be able to hit that guest avatar?
So a designer is going to be way better at this, but if you look up color psychology just on Google, just type in color psychology. There are like these wheels that pop up in different all of the different colors, and then what you see is like which demographic it hits best, right? And like who does it appeal to based off of that color. I got really wrapped into this idea back in like 2018 because of a home that I had, which I ended up going to get some paint, and the paint that I got was like light blue. It was kind of like the blue that you see right to the left of your name there, right? Is like more brighter blue. And that home, I like looked at all of the guests that had stayed at my home, and for whatever reason, that home got so many bachelorette trips in comparison to my other ones. And the only real difference there was that there was a very vibrant blue color that likely when they saw it, they were more appealed to that one in comparison to my other ones that maybe had more of like the beige tone or red tone or something like that, right? And so then I learned more about the color psychology in that process, and I was like, well, that's super fascinating. So you could literally have a property that has the exact same thing as everybody else, but you created a color palette for it that is just appealing to a certain demographic that is like a good paying demographic in that group, and then you now are able to get those people into your home because they're more appealed to it than anyone else, than any other design.
It's funny you say that. I think a lot of people heard what you said and probably think that it's bullshit. There's no such thing as color psychology. But I will agree with you that the reason people go to McDonald's is because of color psychology. The reason people go to these places on the side of the road, these fast food places, all these places, the colors are specifically designed to catch your eye, specifically designed for you to see. And when you see places that didn't design their signs or their logos with that kind of color scheme in mind, you go, oh God, that place looks like a dump. That's what you think. And it's funny because people don't realize how much of an effect a color could have on you when it comes to anything, right?
I think your logo for this podcast is a perfect example of color psychology, because right when we got on, you're like, yeah, we're just going to have fun. We're just going to have a conversation, like say whatever the hell you want, like swear, no big deal. And to me, that's your logo is like, it's vibrant colors. It's laid back. It's fun. It would be almost a contradiction if your logo was like gray and brown, but then I came on here and you guys were like, yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. And just like, it almost feels like we could crack a beer and have a conversation. Right. And that's kind of what that logo gives off in comparison to a gray and brown logo. You know what I mean? So anyways, that to me is what color psychology is. You're kind of telling somebody what this place is like through color.
Right. You see it and you think, man, these guys are going to be cool. And I mean, we're terrible, but I mean, for those of you that do like us, I mean, I thank you.
I mean, I'm having a good time. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I'm glad you are. I mean, it's funny because we got the coolest review a couple weeks ago, and I think I sent a screenshot to Austin because we had just changed our intro, probably episode 50, I think. And I forgot to use my trademark. He actually hit the nail on the head of the nail, whatever. I say it backwards, but you said it earlier. Anyway, some guy left a review and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been binging it, so great." And then he was like, "I love the intro," and I was like thinking in my head, like, little does he know we changed it. So when he gets to the new intro, he's gonna be like, "Oh shit." So I feel bad for you, sir, but hopefully you like the new intro. Leave us a second review and tell us that. But yeah, I agree. I think there's psychology in anything. It's like vibrant colors in general really sell. Bright colors sell. Like you said, brown and gray don't sell really. It's even like with our logo, for instance, like you're saying, like if we didn't have the bros part in yellow, it'd be a totally different world. The logo would be totally different. It wouldn't mean as much as it does. And if Austin wasn't wearing a different color shirt and I wasn't wearing a different color shirt, and what's funny is this logo is based on a picture I took from me and a picture I stole off his Facebook profile, and then I paid somebody to draw it a couple times, and then that's what happened. So that's really how the logo came out. I paid some guy on Fiverr, but
nice.
You're absolutely right. So what's the biggest win you've had with finding a property? Like, what's the biggest win and give me the biggest one to where like you were so surprised, you're like, holy shit, I didn't think that was going to happen like that. Like I was like, I'm thinking we're going to make 60 or something. You know, it went to 120. You're like, holy shit. Like something like an example like that.
There's a couple.
Ooh, made him stutter.
Yeah. So there's one where it was like a $650,000 home. We tested something new in a market that we had done it in another market. We hadn't done it in that market yet. So it was like one of the first times doing it. I'm trying to remember what exactly I thought it was going to make, but I think I had it like mapped out at like 120 to 150 in a range. I always do ranges, and the property ended up pulling like 240 to 250, somewhere in that range. And you know, making 250 on a $600,000 purchase, the cash flow is ridiculous. And we had a couple other properties too where like we just it got put together in a way where it ended up performing significantly better. So even in our own portfolio, right, of that institutional fund, we have one prop, like there's one specific property that's making like $150,000, and it has all of these amenities. It's got a pool, putting green, it's got a basketball setup, it's got a fire pit, it's got all of those main amenities, and it's like the same number of bedrooms, and the backyard is relatively the same size. Then right down the street, there's another one that has those same amenities, but it's making $100,000 more. So to me, that's one of the most the like craziest scenarios, because it technically is offering the same thing. It is just designed differently, different color palette, different way of structuring the amenities, and a different flow in the backyard. And it makes $100,000 more in comparison to the other one. So it's not just that it makes $100,000, it's $100,000 over that. And to me, I always think that's nuts, because it's like if I had two coffee cups and one sold for $1 and one sold for $5. You know what I mean? It's just like such a nutty thing. And that there was like what solidified to me that the way you put together a property makes a gigantic difference. And I'll add to this. I know you asked like, what's the best one, but I'm kind of like rambling into this new thing. I learned this last week, so I was getting some updates on numbers and stuff. There's a property that we have that makes $80,000 more than another one, and the other one has more amenities. So this one has more amenities. So same idea, like same location, same size property, same number of guests, managed by the same people. This one has less amenities and makes $80,000 more. And that to me was such an interesting fact. And the reason that we believe it makes $80,000 more is because the layout of the amenities is cleaner in comparison to the other one. So even though the other one has more, it's sort of like disorganized, and the cleaner one makes $80K more. To me, that's just fucking nuts. I think that's one of the coolest things ever. So anyways, those are some of the big wins, and there's more kind of like layered out in there, but those are the main ones.
We broke him out of his shell. He said fucking nuts, Austin. We did it. We did it.
I don't know, man.
Um,
He might be one of the first ones to cuss outside of you.
yeah, I try to force it out of him. It's like
You told
just
me I
be
was
normal.
allowed. You told me I was
Yeah.
allowed, so I'm going for it. I'm fine
I
with
mean,
that.
I be honest. I'm gonna be honest. If you ever meet me in public, like I'm just a every other word kind of guy, and I can't help it. Like I really try to maintain myself and not curse. And my wife is always like, "Stop cussing," and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm trying." And she's like, "You just did it again," you know. So I mean, I do what I can, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of how I articulate myself. And y'all don't like it. There's other podcasts out there where it's scripted, and you can enjoy that.
There's Matt. So there's a correlation between cursing and intelligence,
That's what I heard.
and honesty as well. So the honesty part maybe, but intelligence with you, I'm just not sure.
So, do you think that for people to be more successful with their property that they're launching, that they should probably hire a designer?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That
Absolutely.
I actually said this earlier today, where I think like a designer is one of those people that you hire where the return of their fee is like black and white. You know what I mean? You pay somebody $10,000 to design it, you're probably going to make $10,000 if not more back, because I don't know why. I can't explain it. Like I don't know what words to use to explain why it's making more money, but you see it and you just know, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it, and therefore it's worth every penny.
I think if you had both of those listings side by side, like it's easy for you to explain it. But if we had the visual side by side and are like, oh, it does have the same amenities, but like scrolling through the listing just feels different, right?
I mean, I could show
Yeah,
you.
and you know what I want you to do after this show? DM me both those links, and we're gonna put them in the show notes. DM me the link, and then DM me how much that one made, and DM me the other link and how much that one made, and we'll put it in the show notes for a side by side comparison. And you guys can go in the show notes and go check out the differences between the two, and see why one is making $100,000 more than the other with less amenities. And then maybe that'll give some insight to everybody else. I mean, because we don't really post the video, but even if we did, I think it's more insight for people to go look for themselves, because you might see something that you're going to see. I might see something different. Austin might see something different, because there may be something else that we don't know, right? So if you guys see something different when you look at that as well, just let us know. Because I mean, we're all learning from each other, right? Because I mean, there might be something in there where it's like, oh yeah, but they have an Ernie in the corner and it just works. I don't know, but you never know. So I mean,
Yep.
yeah, send me over those links or send them to Austin. I'll hop on Instagram after this and shoot you a follow. But
Sounds
let's do
good.
that. We'll put it in the show notes and everybody can check that out.
Sounds good.
That'll work out.
Cool,
That
man.
makes sense. So I'm gonna ask you another one real fast. So or real slow, whatever you want to do. We could do it slow or fast.
We got plenty of time, so whatever you want.
What was your biggest failure?
Probably my first Airbnb. Oh, that's a good question. So I had an Airbnb business prior to hyper focusing in on just the data piece. And I had about 15 in Chicago. 8 of them were arbitrage. No, sorry, 7 or 8 were arbitrage. 7 or 8 were management. I had a cleaning company as well, and a couple down in Scottsdale. And when COVID hit, that business, I always say it got wiped out. But what actually happened was the rental arbitrage deals, I got other people to sublease, which allowed me to hold on to the lease and be able to like restart it if I wanted to after a year. And then I didn't lose any of the management contracts. They were just making less money. We were just kind of waiting it out, I guess you could say. But in that time frame, I had host fatigue. I was just done. Like I was annoyed. You know what I mean? The whole thing shut down. It was kind of a shit show at the time. I was losing hair. It was like I remember looking down at the drain and it was just covered in hair. And I was like, this sucks. And I had a guy who offered to buy all of the contracts from me and the cleaning business and everything. And like for enough to pay off investors. And I was like, I could walk away. You know what I mean? Like I could like step away and be okay and all that kind of stuff. And the guy that I ended up selling it to was just scum of the earth. And I kind of fell for his tricks all the way through. Like he seemed like a good guy. He seemed like he knew what he was doing. He talked well. He dressed well. He acted well. All these different things. It just seemed like the right decision. There were a couple of red flags that had popped up, but I think I just chose to ignore them because I was so exhausted at the time. And so anyways, I went through with the transaction. It was an absolute shit show. Didn't go as smooth as I wanted it to. Was able to get like a good amount of money back from what, but not the total amount that we were going for. And I think that's my biggest failure was through that time frame. And I've been really, really hard on myself when it comes to people nowadays, and like who I'm trusting, how I'm trusting them, why would anyone I would partner with. I'm so strict. If I see like any little like tiny thing that might be a red flag of your integrity, I call it a day. Like I just will stop talking to you. I just don't care about it. I could care less. And yeah, I think that was a big failure, but I learned a ton, and it also led me to where I am now, and I'm happy with everything. So it all works out.
So what is your what would be your biggest takeaway or advice to anyone going forward based on what you learned from that situation? Like what was your biggest number one takeaway?
Is my biggest takeaway was to learn how to read people in a sense. Like people have tells and they're subtle, but if and in the most of your life that won't affect you, but when you start to do things with that person, it will affect you. And so some people have integrity, some people don't. And you got to look for the little holes in what they're saying to see if they have it or not. And usually it's just the tiniest little things where they'll tell you a story, and in that story they're like, yeah, I made $10,000, right? And then months go by and they tell that story again and they said they made $12,000. So now I know like there was a lie there, right? Why did they lie? Why did they choose to like which one was right? Why are they lying? And it can be other little things too, where they'll just do something that just rubs you the wrong way. It's just a little off. And what I learned, like the biggest takeaway was that tiny little thing is a really, really big deal when you're partnered with somebody or doing a really big transaction with somebody, because it will show. And so integrity is everything. It is absolutely everything over your life. There's a book called Fountainhead by Ayn Rand that it's told in like this story form. And it's about these two guys, one who has like all the integrity in the world, like to a fault, and the other one who doesn't. And the one who doesn't like kind of jumps ahead because he's like lying his way through his career to like get to certain places. Whereas the other person just keeps doing the integrity thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say the right thing, but like the most integrity thing all the way through. And it kind of shows you like what life looks like when you're, 70 and you've lived a life with integrity or a life without integrity. And so I just look for that more than anything else in life nowadays. So yeah.
It's funny you say that. I think we were meant to have this conversation today. So I was walking this morning around 3:30 this morning, and I was thinking, I was like, in the morning, all the people don't use their blinkers, they run the lights, all this shit. I'm like, man, if you really think about it, nobody really has integrity. I was like, if you really think about it, if nobody, because I mean, integrity is doing the right thing whether nobody's looking or not, right? So, I mean, I'm like, somebody always rolls the stop sign, somebody's always speeding, somebody's this, because the level of integrity is different. And it's funny because I was really thinking of that, and I was like in a deep thought while I'm walking, and this white car pulls up, turns on her blinker, stops completely, makes the right, and I'm like, fuck. Okay. All right, cool. And it's funny you brought that up because I was just literally thinking about that this morning. So that's why I was smirking when you said that. But I wasn't really going to say that, but I also was going to say, like, if you want to name drop, dude, I mean, we can name drop them.
No,
I mean, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Have
no,
your
it's okay.
integrity. Have your integrity, bro. And I was also going to say he's figured this out, Austin. No, I'm just kidding. So, John, killer, dude.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate you coming on. I know Austin appreciates you coming on. I already followed you on Instagram. You look great in a suit. I mean, fantastic. I mean, maybe a little fake, but
I got to change that photo. I took it
whatever.
Like 5 years ago. I haven't changed it, and now I never ever wear suits. It makes no sense that I have that photo, but just haven't.
I mean,
sat down
integrity,
to take a
right?
photo.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding. But so I really appreciate it. I mean, John Bianchi, the dad gang, baby,
Let's
coming
go.
over here, got the data, teach you how to find a property. Follow him on Instagram. Tell him where to follow you because I just drew a blank for some reason. I apologize for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Austin already insulted my intelligence. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, what I always say, guys, is follow me on or go look up strsearch.com. The reason I say that is because we have free courses on there that teach you everything that I've been talking about. So it's the absolute best place to go. And then from there, you can figure out how to get a hold of me if you need to. We have all the links and different information. But start with the training. If it's for you, great. If it's not, give me a call.
You mean to tell me you don't have like a special school group? You give all this away for free?
Yeah, it's just right on the website. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm not a one-on-one kind of guy. I've tried it where, you know what I mean? Like you're individually coaching. I just don't want to build that business. I don't really want to do it. I just don't have the patience, I guess is a good way to put it. I try to not be like a jackass when people ask for help. I try to give as much help as I can, but eventually I kind of hit this limit and I'm like, okay, I couldn't do this every day, all day. There's some people who can, and I think that's awesome. I'm just not one of them. So
I agree. I feel like Austin's kind of like that as well. I think, a lot of the conversations we have, I think it's like, it gets to the point to where like, I think he thinks in his head, like, stop fucking asking me about door locks. Like you fucking should know this by now,
that's me.
Yeah. So it's like, I totally get. I think you guys are kind of similar in that way. Cause we've had conversations sometimes and like, I feel like, okay, I've already asked him this. I feel like he's kind of annoyed about it, but it's like, I get it. Like I understand because I hate repeating myself too. If I'm wrong, Austin, please call me out on the internet.
Man, you could bother me anytime, man.
I know. You're my sweetheart. Okay, no offense, everybody. We're straight completely. But anyway, yeah, thanks, John, for coming on. I think this is a great show. Hopefully, we made you guys laugh actually, and you learned something because we're just trying to have a good time over here. We know that you're having a good time, and if you're enjoying it, leave us a review or share the show. And if you don't want to do either of those things, just stop listening to us. Anyway, with that, I will let Austin take us out, and we'll just wrap it up.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.